Please take care of them both for me, Ryan said with a calmness that betrayed the storm brewing within me. Hearing his words, I felt my heart sink. How could he even think to ask me such a thing? Taking care of his mistress? It was absurd. Unthinkable. What? Why don't you ask your parents? I shot back, my voice trembling with disbelief. What are you talking about? Asking elderly parents to take care of someone? Be reasonable, Erica, Ryan said, his tone dripping with condescension. You're unbelievable, I retorted. Callista might be happy to do it, though, I added sarcastically, naming his overly doting mother. Ryan's arrogance never wavered. Despite being in a position to beg for help, he continued to act superior. Looking at him, I couldn't help but wonder what I ever saw in this man. Just then, the door opened, and the nurses wheeled in a new patient into the bed next to Ryan's. I glanced over casually, but when I saw who it was, my breath caught in my throat. Kiara? I gasped. The woman in the bed was none other than my younger sister. She looked away, unable to meet my furious gaze. I can't believe this, I said, my voice trembling. You're Ryan's mistress? Ryan chimed in casually. Well, we're all family here. Help us out, will you? The audacity of his words left me speechless. As I looked at the two of them, guiltless and clinging to me for support, my mind raced back to the choices that had led me to this moment. I am Erica, a 35-year-old housewife, raising my 10-year-old son, Liam. My younger sister, Kiara, is 6 years my junior. We've never been close. She's always been reckless, running away from home right after high school and leaving a trail of chaos wherever she went. When Kiara eloped years ago, it tore our family apart. She drained my parents' savings and vanished, leaving them distraught. At the time, I was pregnant with Liam and trying to build a stable life with Ryan. Back then, Ryan seemed like a rock, supportive and dependable. He encouraged me to move back with my parents for the birth, saying he was worried about my health. It was because of Ryan's suggestion that I was able to support my parents and bring Liam into the world safely. Life with Ryan started out well. I admired his confidence and dedication at work. We met at the office where he was my trainer. I fell for his charm and steady demeanor. After a whirlwind romance, we had a shotgun wedding when I became pregnant with Liam. At Ryan's insistence, I quit my job to focus on raising our son. You'll be a wonderful stay-at-home mom, he said at the time. I'll take care of everything. Though I missed my career, I convinced myself it was the right decision. Liam became the light of my life, and for a while, I was genuinely happy. But cracks began to show. Ryan's visits to his parents became a routine, and he insisted Liam and I tag along. His parents, Walton and Callista, adored Ryan and their grandson, but their treatment of me was less than warm. Liam is so clever, just like his father, Callista would say. Good thing he didn't take after Erica. She always struggled. Ryan never defended me. Instead, he joined in, mocking me under the guise of harmless jokes. The visits became unbearable for both me and Liam, who found his grandparents' house dull and restrictive. One day, after yet another tense weekend at the in-laws, I decided I'd had enough. I told Ryan I wanted to visit my parents instead. He brushed me off, saying, "Your parents' place is boring. Why don't you go alone?" So I did. Back at my childhood home, my parents welcomed Liam and me with open arms. It was a breath of fresh air. Unlike my in-laws, my parents prioritized Liam's happiness. Watching my son laugh and play with my father, Rudolph, made me realize how much we'd been missing. But my peace was short-lived. A few weeks later, Kiara unexpectedly returned, dragging along her young daughter, Ava. She barged into my parents' house as if the last decade had never happened. "I need a place to stay," she announced. "I can't raise Ava on my own." Her arrival threw our household into chaos. My father was furious, but my mother's soft heart couldn't turn her away. Kiara's presence made it impossible for Liam and me to stay there, and I reluctantly returned to Ryan's house. Ryan's behavior grew increasingly suspicious. He started working late nights and going on frequent business trips. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but I had no proof. Then came the plane crash. The news reported a tragic accident involving dozens of passengers. My phone rang, and a nurse on the other end informed me that Ryan was among the survivors. He was in the hospital, injured but alive. When I arrived at his bedside, Ryan greeted me with an unsettling calmness. He explained his injuries with a detachment that sent chills down my spine. The trip wasn't for work, he confessed. It was supposed to be a getaway with Kiara. As he spoke, his lack of remorse became clear. Now we're both paralyzed. You're the only one who can take care of us. Ryan's audacity knew no bounds. And when the nurses wheeled Kiara into the same room, it all made sense. Their affair wasn't just a betrayal, it was a mockery of everything I had endured. Looking at them, I felt nothing but disgust. You betrayed me, both of you, I said, my voice trembling with fury. And now you expect me to take care of you? That's audacious. Ryan's arrogance faltered for the first time. Kiara avoided my gaze, guilt etched across her face. But my anger wasn't enough to undo the damage they'd done. Back at home, I began taking steps to protect myself and Liam. I hired a lawyer to start divorce proceedings and gathered evidence of Ryan's infidelity. Meanwhile, my parents hired a private investigator to locate Ava's father. We eventually found him. Bud, Kiara's ex-husband, was a kind man who had been deceived by her manipulative ways. He took custody of Ava, offering her the stable home she desperately needed. Knowing Ava was safe brought me a small sense of relief. With my divorce finalized, I cut ties with Ryan completely. He and Kiara moved in with his parents, but their selfishness soon drove the household into chaos. Walton and Callista, elderly and overwhelmed, couldn't manage their care. Arguments erupted daily, but it was no longer my concern. One day, while out shopping with Liam, I heard a familiar voice. Erica, Kiara called, her voice weak. She was in a wheelchair, struggling to navigate the crowded sidewalk. For a moment, I considered walking away, but her desperate expression stopped me. We sat down at a nearby cafe, where she confessed her regrets. I've ruined everything, she said, tears streaming down her face. But I want to make things right. Her sincerity surprised me. For the first time in years, I saw a glimmer of the sister I used to know. She handed me a letter addressed to Ava, apologizing for her mistakes and promising to stay out of her life until she could prove herself worthy. Meanwhile, Ryan made one last attempt to reconcile. He approached me in a parking lot, pleading for a second chance. We're better off as a family, he said. Don't you think Liam deserves that? I looked him in the eye and said, Liam deserves better than you. Ryan's face fell, but I felt no pity. He had made his choices, and now he had to live with the consequences. Life moved on. Liam and I relocated to a new city, where we built a fresh start. He made friends, excelled in school, and blossomed into a kind and confident young boy. As for me, I found strength in my independence and the support of my family. Kiara, too, began to turn her life around. With the help of a rehabilitation program, she found a job and started repaying the alimony she owed me. It wasn't much, but it was a step in the right direction. In the end, the betrayals that had once shattered my world became the catalyst for a new beginning. For the first time in years, I felt truly free.